Look at these cars, don't they look so different? You know, they've got all the aerodynamics on them, they're hugely different. They've got these big powerful engines, we're beginning to hear them as they come past our commentary position. Very, very different to what we were just watching, a bunch of minis going around. And we're now watching Mark Higson, for example, in the Eureka 03, and this is just typical of some of the cars that we've got. An LMP2 car built in 2011. It's got a Nissan 4.5 litre V8 engine. About 24 of them were built. They made a debut back in 2011 at Sebring. They actually had a pole position but had problems in the race. Finished 30th overall, but second in LMP2. But that's sort of, we've got a real mixture of different LMP1, LMP2 cars that are out in this event, haven't we?
That's right, yes, and some other cars as well that I've noticed in the entry list, such as the Mustang and the Porsche 996s, which are from the GT classes rather than the B classes. So it's almost like a proper World Endurance Championship race, because they have all the different classes in those. As we see one of the GT class cars, the Ferrari number 126, that's Colin Sauter's 458, and that's a GT3 car, so that's similar to the GT cars we see racing in British GT at the moment.
Yeah, that's a very nice looking car indeed, the Ferrari 458 GT3, 4.5 litre engine from 2011, and cars won the class in 2012, the other 2014 at Le Mans, a couple of times at Petit Le Mans as well. Been a very successful car over the years. Drivers like Mika Salo, Giancarlo Fisichella have driven those over the years. And we'll just have to see how it gets on. Won't have the downforce, of course, as some of the other cars. It runs in a different class, but nonetheless, great to see it out there. We're beginning to see, actually, I noticed just in the background there, some of these LMP cars, they really create a huge sort of water stream behind them, because they pick up with that downforce, they pick up the water off the track. You won't see it so much with the Ferrari here, which is more of a kind of modified road car type vehicle, but some of these things have got massive amounts of downforce, and it really does drag the water off the surface of the track, which is probably quite good for everybody else who's going to be out qualifying today here at Silverstone. Maybe the track won't be quite as wet as it has been for some of the sessions. Reasonably long session. We've got a 25 minutes to go. There are two races for these cars over the weekend. Tomorrow their race is due to be at 5 to 6 in the evening, and on Sunday it's due to be at 4:30 in the afternoon. So heading along, we've got a few more different cars to be looking at as well. Still a few umbrellas out there, by the way. I can see you're all just about keeping yourself dry in these wet and windy conditions. So now, looking down towards Brooklands, there's something else. The 47 car, and that is Chris Perkins, sharing it with Jason McAnulty, and that is the BR01. Now that's quite an interesting machine, or bit of machinery, owned and run by the Russian businessman Boris Romanovich Rotenberg. He set up this team. Well, the team actually was SMP that ran the cars, but the prototype constructed by BR Engineering. It's another car that runs the 4.5 litre Nissan V8, normally aspirated engine, 2015 car. So it's not that old at all, and it's lovely to see it as part of the classic here at Silverstone, and we'll see how it gets on. It was entered in Le Mans in 2015 and at Daytona in 2016 as well. And there it is, heading around, Chris Perkins and Jason McAnulty sharing the driving duties in that car. Fastest at the moment though, Emmanuel Collard. There's a famous name from motor racing. Emmanuel Collard is out this weekend in this class, driving a Porsche RS Spider, and he is fastest so far with a very impressive lap of 2 minutes 6.0 seconds.
Really showing his class, Emmanuel Collard, and the car itself, the Porsche RS Spider, was very, very successful in period, so he's got that by the scruff of his neck and set that quick time. Noticed we've got cars still coming out of the pit lane. They may well have been out and done a sighting lap, gone back in, to have the tyre pressures checked and so on, but we're now getting all of our cars out on track, so we should see some times coming in for all of the field, because we've only had about 10 times in so far.
On big screen at the moment you're seeing car number 17, that's the Marcus Jewel Ben Lucas Porsche, and that is currently 5th fastest, going pretty well. This is a Porsche 996 RSR, so a more humble car in some ways than some of the high downforce machines, but still delivering some decent lap times here. And in fact, look, they've just gone 4th fastest, so that is impressive. May well be Ben Lucas at the wheel. Also moving up the order is number 27. Checking that one in a moment. It's moved up. Yeah, I think they've changed the number again, have they, on that car? Not sure, we'll have to check that in a moment. Looks like Matt Wrigley running car number 27 now. Manuel Collard quickest at this stage. Number 7 now moved up into 2nd. That's Francois Fernando in the Porsche 908. Now that's a diesel powered Porsche 908. So that's clearly going pretty well. It's a 3.7 litre V8 twin turbo. Beaten by Audi at Le Mans back in 2011 by just 13 seconds. Okay, we've got a car spun, number 41, James Littlejohn. That's the Gibson. Actually, I don't think there's been any contact.
And that's at the loop, isn't it? He's just looped it round at the loop, unfortunately.
Yeah. Not perfect, but never mind. Moving up also up the order, Max Lynn in the other BR01. Again, a fairly recent car, it has to be said.
A lot of technology under the skins of these cars when you see them in the paddock when they take the engine covers off. Especially the turbos from the diesel engines. It's absolutely amazing the way they package all of that technology into the back of the car, and they're designed to be run through the night for 24 hours for long distance races and in wet conditions as well. So they're designed to just keep going whatever happens.
Yeah, and there is that Peugeot 908 going pretty well at the moment. Francois Perrodo. Just see where he manages to put that car. He's already 2nd quickest, a little way off what Emmanuel Collard has done, but not far. The gap actually is only 0.27 of a second. So Perrodo is very, very close to what Emmanuel Collard has done so far. A little mix of machinery heading down towards Maggots and Beckett's. Just about picking them out one by one. But we are keeping our eye on Francois Perrodo at this point. Perrodo driving a car that was driven by the likes of Sébastien Bourdais, Simon Pagenaud, Pedro Lamy in past years. And what an opportunity to be out in a very serious piece of machinery, no doubt. Manuel Collard, by the way, has just set a new fastest middle sector, but his lap time 206.082. He was about the same on his last lap, but not actually any quicker. Perrodo's still 2nd. Let's just see. Yeah, that lap is a slower lap from Perrodo. He just got into too much traffic, I think, on that one.
Yeah, the perennial problem today with the spray and the big grids is trying to find space as we look at the Emmanuel Collard car, the RS Spider from Porsche, coming through, having set that really quick lap, coming now through the old Woodcote corner, over the old start-finish line, and up towards Copse Corner, in the spray of contemporary driver in period, Mike Newton, who used to race this MG Lola EX257 at Le Mans and many other places. He's just ahead of Collard. As our camera shows a little bit of rain there over that side of the circuit. We seem to be missing it just here.
Yes, again, it may well be that it's going to hit some places more than others. Emmanuel Collard going well though, still fastest in this session, and we're watching his car right now, Porsche RS Spider, number 34 car. So Emmanuel is continuing to set good pace, although I have to say Perodo's on a very good lap himself at the moment, setting some fastest sector time. So it could be on for a good battle between these two guys. And he's coming to the pits now, Collard. So maybe he can make a few changes to the setup and make it go even faster than it is going right now. Number 36 just coming through. That's Maxwell Lin, the BR01 that we mentioned earlier, the Russian-owned team. And number 6, that's a lovely looking car. That is a Porsche 962. What a classic sports car, racing car that is, from 1993, that particular car, but they first appeared back in 1984, World Sports Car titles in the mid-80s with the Porsche 962. Oh, Perodo's gone quickest. Perodo's done a 2:04.6. That's put him a little way, 1.4 seconds ahead of Emmanuel Collard.
I think you're right, we are going to have a battle here, aren't we, between these two, if not more cars as they get used to the track. Yeah, the Porsche 962 and the slightly earlier 956 were totally dominant in world sports car racing for some years. It's great to see one out here, only the one, but good to see that the Halusa family have brought that along for us to see.
Yeah, we've got a few changes going on. Let's see what else we're going to pick up on here. Coming through there, car number 9, that is Sean Lin. He's in another of the Peugeots, the Peugeot 908s. And again, it's a fairly recent car, so a car that was racing around 2009. And again, a beautiful opportunity to drive a car like this on such a fast-flowing circuit as Silverstone. Emmanuel Collard still in the pits at the moment. Into third place has come James Littlejohn in the Gibson. He had that spin earlier on, did Littlejohn, but it's actually come back for him with a decent lap time. Fourth fastest is the number 36 car, Max Lin. And then in 5th place, we've got number 15, that is James Cottingham with Massimiliano Girardo. They've got a Dallara SP1 car that finished 5th at Le Mans. Well, the same type of car finished 5th at Le Mans in 2002. So Sean Lin continues on his way round. We're going to see a few improving lap times, I'm sure, as we have 15 minutes still to go in qualifying for this Masters Endurance Legends race. 2 races that they will be doing over the course of the weekend.
Just spotted Emmanuel Collard coming out of the pits again, so he's had some adjustments, no doubt, after reporting back to the team, and we may now see Collard go for another effort at pole position now that he's lost it.
Yeah, let's see whether he can do that. Actually, it's the Cottingham Girardo car now that's gone fastest, so that's the Dallara SP1 has now gone fastest. It's a good effort. And we'll see whether they can maintain that. The gaps are pretty tiny now, I have to say, between the leading group. Sean Lin, number 9. He is still there in 3rd place for now. But if he only needs to find a second and a half or so, that can put him onto provisional pole position. Car number 15 is now the fastest. The car of James Cottingham and Massimiliano Girardi, the Dallara SP1. Dallara, a fantastic Italian team, a manufacturer. It's involved in all sorts of manufacturer teams as well. It helped Toyota build the GT1 in the late 90s. Dallara was involved with Audi building the R8R and the R8, and then they decided to make their own car for customer teams. Although they then associated with Chevrolet. Chevrolet wanted to get involved, so it became the Chevrolet LMP. But that car is currently quickest at the moment. It has just come in the pits, however, so we're not going to see it on track right now. You're looking at 52. That's Ron Maiden and Craig Davis in a Ligier JSP3. And now we're looking at one of the Ferraris heading around. A real mix of machines. So car 15 in the background, you can just see it. That is the car that has set the pace. So jumping out, looks like we're going for a driver change. They have set the pace, and now it's time for the other driver to have a run and see what they can make of it all. So
I guess that was James Cottingham getting out,
okay.
Max Girardo getting in, judging by the helmet colours. James Cottingham is a quick driver. We've seen him out already in other sessions today.
Yeah. He's got a chance to hold on to this provisional pole position, but let's see whether anybody can go quicker in the remaining 12 minutes of the session. Certainly the track is drying out. Looking out from our commentary box on the approach to Abbey, and that now they are chucking up less water in this section, and in fact now we have a new fastest time, car number 27 that's set the pace, and that's Matt Wrigley. Mike and Matt Ridley sharing a car. So that has now gone fastest, a 2:02.1. That does indicate the track is getting quite a lot quicker. It's impressive indeed. They're in another of the Dallara Oreca 5-litre 2002 car. But Collard is now picking up the lap time again with some fast sector time. So we know that he went into the pits, the Frenchman. He's had a lot of success over the years in sports car racing. True professional. Let's see whether this is going to put him back into provisional pole. Across the line he goes. Yep, he does. 2 minutes, flat point 693. So that's a big jump ahead, isn't it?
It is, yes, yeah, absolutely. And he's got caught up there with some slower cars just coming through Abbey and Farm at the end of that lap. So the next lap may not be quite as quick. But he's clearly had some adjustments done to that car in the pits after that early few laps, and it's really worked. And he's got caught up again with traffic at the loop as well.
The Rob Weldon car has moved up to 3rd place, and I see there are it's a two driver car. I didn't have it down as a two driver car for number 116. Don't know if you've seen the change. Looks like, would that be Nick Tandy?
I'd guess Steve Tandy.
Steve Tandy, yes. More likely to be Steve Tandy, yes. Yeah, because Steve is out in the other categories as well, isn't he? So very likely to be Steve Tandy who has joined in for that in that car. Matt Wrigley in car number 27 there, just coming over the line. Currently 2nd fastest in the Dallara Oreca. And we are definitely going to be starting to see some quicker lap times, I think. But Emmanuel Collard has set an impressive pace. 2 minutes, flat point 693. Are we going to see a sub 2 minute lap in a moment? Could be quite possible, I think. Total number of cars we've got out there, 30 in this Masters Endurance Legends event that's going to be competing in 2 40-minute races over the course of the weekend. Good looking Porsche, that's the John Cockerton Tom Jackson Porsche 997 Grand Am RSR 4-litre engine, and another one that could provide us with some good action as we go through the course of the weekend. They are further down the list though. I have to say they're down near the bottom of the list. Obviously a car that's not as rapid as some of the LMP cars. Still entertaining to watch. Collard still leading the way and still putting some more laps together. Not showing a particularly quicker lap just yet. Matt Wrigley will find a 1.4 seconds to try and take that top spot. The sunshine beginning to beam through our windows, which is nice to see, and giving us that little bit of extra warmth now. Let's hope for everybody's sake that things do dry up a bit, make a little more fun to look around all the various activities that are going on at Silverstone throughout the course of the weekend. And if you're watching online, you'll get a chance to see some of those bits and pieces on our coverage as well. But most importantly, be watching the racing between these great classic cars that'll be going on throughout Saturday and Sunday. All the qualifying is being done today. It's all racing on Saturday and Sunday. The grids will be set from what they've done today, and then it's all about going wheel to wheel, door to door, and seeing who comes out on top on both days. And you could get some very different experiences depending reliability, depending on weather, and depending on driver combinations as well as we go through the weekend. Car number 69, that's the Paul Phillips Nigel Greensall car. Tell you what, Nigel's pretty busy today, isn't he?
Yes, another man whose helmet doesn't really get cool between sessions, does he? He's back on again and out there. And such a variety of cars. It does make you wonder how the drivers tune into the car that they're getting into so quickly. We've got 7 minutes just about remaining in the session. Still Emmanuel Collard quickest. The Wrigley car going well, and it's got down into the 2 minutes flat. So your prediction that the Wrigleys might get closer to Collard's come true, but they are just about 0.3 of a second short at the moment.
Yeah, Collard's in traffic here, so that's going to make life difficult for him to further improve. But we are seeing a few changes now coming up through the order. So the Weldon Tandy car in that strong second place. It's a question of now, is Emmanuel Collard going to go quicker as well? But you don't want to be too caught up in the traffic. That's the 116 car. That is the Rob Weldon car that is now up into second place. What about sector times? Well, on this particular lap, nobody's doing anything in that top group that's particularly rapid. Fernando's done a slightly better opening sector, but he then came into the pits. Maybe he can still do a final run that'll put him a little further up than 5th on the potential grid. For now, it's still Emmanuel Collard who is in charge, commanding things so far in car number 34. Porsche RS Spider. Lola B12 that Weldon and Tandy are sharing here. Another important car that has done well over the years. Uses the Mazda 2-litre turbo engine. It's an LMP1 coupe. Rebellion Racing ran one in the FIA World Championship. Dyson Racing used one in the American Le Mans Series as well. 2012 car, so relatively recent, and it's providing some good performance here today. Second quickest so far, picking up a little bit of a slipstream here on the Porsche and going through. No changes amongst the top 3 or 4 cars so far though, with 5 minutes to go. It looks as though the grid is looking a little more settled at this stage. Seen any of the Moslers yet. We've got a couple of Moslers out there. We've got a Celine as well. They're not quite so far up the grid, but it's nice to have that kind of mixture.
Yes, they rumble through. It sounds very good indeed as they go past, but different class really, a lower classed car, so not right at the sharp end of the grid. But great to see such a big field, as you said, 30 cars out there qualifying, and I think out of all of them, the nicest sounding car is the Cottingham Pescarola. Sorry, Delara. Yeah, I was thinking of Jamie Constable's Pescarola. Apologies. Yeah, it sounds absolutely great, and we can hear the cars howling around the circuit in the background. Wonderful noises and sights as the sun comes out in amongst the clouds. And the cars now shimmering as they come up the Hamilton Straight. Great sight. Still, it's Collard who's fastest with that 2:00.693 that he did earlier on, and second is the Weldon and Tandy car with a 200.960, just that tantalising 3/10 or so slower. And then it's the Wrigley car, which looks like it's solo driven, doesn't it? We were told it was going to be Dad and Lad, Mike and Matt, but I think we can assume that it's just Matt Wrigley in that car.
27. 124, they're just going past. That's Colin Payton in one of the Moslers, so that's nice to see. Colin down in 23rd place at the moment, but it's a lovely car to witness. Fun machine to have out on circuit. Not quite up to LMP1 levels, but quick nonetheless. So Emmanuel Collard still going well. He's done a good first sector on that last lap, but still the lap that he did earlier on is the one that has set the outright pace. It's looking good for Collard to take this pole position here for the Masters Endurance Legends race. Two groups of cars in this, basically. The groups split between the 1995 and 2010 seasons, and then another group split between 2011 and 2016, and then it depends on whether it's an LMP1 class or P2 class or indeed a GT class. So there are various different categories going on here. Mosler, for example, is classified as a GT2 car. As we look back at Emmanuel Collard, holding on to that top time for now, holding on to pole position. Looks like the superstar driver is well placed to do just that. A slight improvement from car number 9, Sean Lynn, in his Peugeot 908. He's just into 7th place, ahead of Cottingham and Girardeau. Let's have a look at the sector time here for Collard. His first sector not any quicker, no. I don't think that this is going to be a quick lap. Again, maybe a bit of traffic around. Makes life difficult. Getting a clear lap can make a huge difference.
You've seen him be in traffic quite a lot during this session, and just managed to get that one reasonably clear lap, but the track is probably quite a bit drier now than it was when he set that lap, so he ought to be able to improve, but it's just getting that space that he needs.
Yeah, back with the number 27 car of Matt Wrigley. Still up there, still 3rd place for him. Can he do any more on this closing stages of qualifying? Matt in the Dallara Areca, the 5-litre powered machine, loads of downforce, that big rear wing helping the car grip the road effectively, giving you a lot of G-force even in the damp that we've got here today. And if it ends up being dry over the weekend, then we're going to see some very rapid lap times indeed. But the checker flag is about to come out on qualifying for this group, so they've got a lap to finish off. I don't think that anyone's going that quick though to be able to steal pole position away from Emmanuel Collard. Not by a huge margin, but he's taken it from Weldon and Tandy. The gap just 0.267 of a second, so it implies we could be on for a pretty close battle in both races between those two front row men. But we will wait to see what happens. Round comes Matt Wrigley. He gets the checker flag, hasn't improved on 3rd place, so it looks like that's where he's going to be starting the race. But I think that's a very effective place to be. A good start, could suddenly put him up there between the two on the front row. Rolling starts throughout the course of the weekend, so that's safer for cars and for the mechanical side as much as anything. Standing starts, we're putting a lot more strain on machinery, transmissions, engines, etc. So rolling starts tend to be the way it is done for this event. Oh, and Collard just being held up a little bit at the end of the lap there. I don't think he was on a particularly quick lap. Across the line he goes, and that lap was a 2:02 compared to his 2:0. There is a good middle sector from the Weldon Tandy car. Whether that's going to give them a chance, I'd rather doubt it, but you never know. It would be worth just keeping an eye on this final lap to see whether Rob Weldon and Steve Tandy can improve No, I think that the laps finished, it was at 2:02 as well, but it wasn't enough to go and take that provisional pole, dear. A spin for the number 77 car, David Methley in the Chevrolet Corvette. Thankfully, he didn't get collected because that could have been a bit awkward. Cars coming out of the last corner, across the line, and he's got it going once again. So qualifying has come to an end. Let's just have another little look. So you put a wheel on the curb, you get that little bit of slipperiness, wheel spin, it has a big wobble and spins it round. Thankfully ends up pointing in the right direction and is able to just continue once again. Thankfully there was no one right behind him at the time. So got away with that, did David Methley in the Chevrolet Corvette. He's a little bit further down the order. He's in 26th position on the grid, but nonetheless